so Manny, you're not aware of what I was talking about, so I'll give you a brief little rundown. There's an insidious individual by the name of Basedlukeuk who doesn't like it that I talk to Moon because Moon had an argument with a girl that he speaks to, slash has a crush on, slash has mummy issues. And well, I can take it right back to the beginning, actually. Take it right back to the beginning. So everybody knows that I fell out with Wendy. Wendy tried to cause a division. Instead of Wendy just going away silently, she didn't like it that I still had people that come to my show. She couldn't just mind her own business. She wanted to interfere. So she joined forces with Simon. Then it was uncovered that Simon and all that group had insidious beliefs about child abuse. A lot of people fell out with them. Then to stop the trolling that I was getting, my husband was getting from Esau, I sort of went and spoke to Esau on a mature level. I tried talking to a lot of people on a mature level. I even tried getting other people included in speaking to Esau on a mature level. Esau did make an agreement with me. They also made an agreement with Luke, and they also made an agreement with Seven and Wasp before he died. But then Wasp died. And as soon as Wasp died, Luke was itching to sort of like call off the truce. I don't know why, whether he made the truce because Wasp told him to, or to impress Wasp. I don't know whether it's coincidence or what. Luke then decided that he wanted to attack Bleeding Heart's family, and he went all out to expose all her family. I still maintained my agreement because I couldn't be bothered going backwards and forwards with trolls. And I think if you can, as a mature adult, sort out a situation, even though what Esau did to me was disgusting, he apologised, I forgave him, and since then he's kept his word. But other people didn't like it that I liked that I not that I liked Esau, but that I was on mutual agreement and civil discord with Esau, because people were still upset for Wendy, even though it turns out that Wendy has known all these people with Hoaxstead and a lot of other stuff for years, absolute years. So it would appear that they all turned out to be a troll group, a large troll group. It was becoming more and more obvious, and then it became more and more obvious that they were targeting people that had spoken out against grooming gangs or agreed with Tommy Robinson speaking out against grooming gangs. Okay? Then we had another two individuals who attached themselves, namely Mandy and Athena. And then, for no reason at all, we had Plisco, who came out of nowhere, who started getting himself involved because I wouldn't let him onto my channel so that he could slag off somebody else and call them a paedophile and take my channel down to a dirty level that they all belong to. I told them if the man was a paedophile, then they should go and report him and not come to my channel to want to bully somebody. That didn't go too well with Plisco. So what Plisco did was he decided that he would get information from Wendy about my family, because Wendy was still smarting that when she said she didn't want to be my friend, that I didn't care. So Wendy gave details to Plisco and sat in groups with Simon Lord and other people. All this can be proven. We've been through all this before. Sat in groups with other people, poring over my family, trying to find out details about my family. Plisco then went on to Instagram trying to find out details about my family. He's actually gone on to Instagram to post images of me and tell people that I'm a paedophile as well, the weird idiot. Like I'm supposed to be scared or something. So he went and did all this shit because he's an animal. And they all joined forces. Moon had an argument with a couple of people, and because I refused to stop talking to Moon because it wasn't my argument, Luke, basedlukeuk UK, gay Luke, then had a meltdown and for no reason at all attacked me and went along with Wendy's insidious stories to try and sway the public not to like me because I'm supposed to be guilty of stuff that's made up and fabricated. On top of this, he then yesterday threatened to put my family's picture out of myself, Hector, all 8 of my children, my ex-husband and his partner at my son's recent wedding. So instead of letting Luke put the picture out, I put the picture out. He didn't like that. He didn't like it that we were able to laugh at him and his behaviour because he is a nasty, spiteful, insidious, blackmailing, untrustworthy person. And of course, all the insidious incels and the tarts and the old age pensioners rallied round him because they are having a hate fest because they know they're all in trouble for all their actions, which are numerous, which I am not going to put out here. But they do include putting out misinformation and false information about the child sexual abuse that was dropped in the Discord. It also includes intimidating witnesses, many of them. They've all had something to say about it. They've all put their own theories out there and they've all tried to muddy the waters, which makes it look very suspicious. Plus, they've all stood in allegiance and sworn 100% that it could not have been Plisco. Now, it may not be Plisco, but for them to know 100% it's not, makes me wonder if they know 100% who it is. So, I put the photo out yesterday and Luke reviewed what I had to say to him because I told him the ball's in his court. If he would like to meet me and all my family, seeing as he's such a super fan, for an autograph, he should feel free to name the time and the place in London. That didn't happen. Instead, what happened was he took the video and did a review. A review with all the fucking idiots whose opinions are irrelevant and I couldn't give a shit about. So, like I said, he did exactly what I expected him to do. They did exactly what I expected him to do. And now they've got it all off their chest. Now they can silently move on or make as much noise as they like because I just don't care. I don't like them. I don't want to be friends with them. I don't regret not talking to them. And I certainly don't regret reporting all of their troll groups to the police for the shit that they've done to me and to other people and for the child images they've been sharing with each other for over 5 years. Why people would want to get themselves involved in that and add their names to the list, I do not know. But they keep adding themselves. They keep getting involved. And they keep exposing themselves. And every time they do, I will report it. It's as simple as that. So, nothing left to say. I'm sure some of them who are so obsessed because they're my super fans will want to review this later. Well, that's up to them. I couldn't give a toss. So, That was the breakdown. What's that? It's going up on easy. What is going up on easy? Yeah. Pose, pose. Right. So, I'm going to swiftly move on. I do want to say, though, stop trying to blame Moon for all of this, because the trolling that has occurred to my family started 5 years ago, and that's evident with the police. Moon wasn't around 5 years ago, nor was you, Luke. You got yourself involved. You got yourself involved because you want to be a hero. You want to be a hero because the rest of them are wankers and you're a bigger wanker than they are. You know. But as I was going to sleep yesterday, because I played the rest of the stream on Bleeding Hearts, there's some interesting stuff that Sean was showing. And I do hope that tonight he goes through that over on Bleeding Hearts, because it was stuff where he was showing how they were monitoring him. Yes, this little group literally had a breakdown of everything he was doing. And it seems to me that there's a level of organisation to this that is quite disturbing. It seems to me that there might be individuals that has been deemed unstable that actually might not be so unstable after all. Because they keep mentioning some Sean fella that used to have well, he had a sort of psychosis where he believed he was being watched and followed. Well, it's quite possible with this group that they were watching and following him. Apparently, this group openly bragged that they trolled him, and the police did nothing. See, Brian Harvey, he's been trolled heavily as well, hasn't he? And the police did nothing. And this has given this group, yeah, because a lot of them are involved in all the Brian Harvey shit, and I don't want to get involved in the Brian Harvey shit. I'm not going to go down that road. But it does seem that this group, yeah, have a lot to answer for, and the police in their inaction has allowed this group to get away with a load of bullshit. Well, that bullshit's about to fucking fall on their head. And I'm not going to stand in their way. I don't care if it takes 6 months or a year or 18 months. I will get justice. Because I won't be locked up in no straitjacket. I'm not stupid enough to do the stuff that they do. I don't break no rules. And I only talk my opinion. And in my opinion, they are a bunch of narcissistic, spiteful control freaks who think they have the right or the authority to bully, lie, slander, libel, intimidate people all over the internet. But unfortunately for them, they can't touch this. And it frustrates them. It frustrates them because they have picked their targets based on, it would appear, based on vulnerability for fun, but also political beliefs. Yeah. So it would seem that they are pretty organised. But I would also say that they are slightly perverse. Many of them have sexual deviances, and the rest have no sex life at all because they're weird incels. So you will have old men and women that have unhealthy interests in people much younger than them in a very perverted way. women that like to dress up and imagine themselves getting raped in schoolgirl uniform, other people that can't have sex because they're, you know, scared of sex, and others that have sex with everybody and flash their bits every 2 minutes. So what you see is that we have a group of degenerates that are running around on YouTube, causing mayhem in this sector, probably in many other sectors, who are flapping and floundering all over the place with their backsides flapping because they realise it's all coming on top. What has been eye-opening and brilliant for me is, rather than being upset that the majority of people that I would have given respect to over a year ago have ended up all collating together, I can now see clearer who the bastards are. And it's very interesting. Even people you would least expect. So, I'm assuming that they think I'm going to run away from YouTube and I'm not going to do it. It's not going to happen. I've got plenty more things that I can talk about. I, unlike them, do not need to talk about other individuals. I've got subjects. I've got what's happening to the country. I've got things that interest me. Scientific stuff, religious stuff. I don't have to sit bitching about people. And I refuse to be drawn to their level. Told them what I thought of them yesterday. I did it in the most polite way that I could. Now I'm going to move on. These people are nothing. I'm not interested. I don't care what they run around saying. If they make threats towards my family, then I will take those threats to the police. If they turn up at my door, I will deal with it. Other than that, let the mongs be mongs. But should they, at any point, discuss children, say that they're sharing photos, put any other person's children's photos out, they will be reported. What do they expect? They think that we're going to go away and let them lust over people's children. No. That's not going to happen. You see, one of their modus operandis is that what they do is they project onto others what they're actually doing. It's a cover. But everybody can see right through the cracks now, and everybody has seen in the last few weeks what is really going on with that large bunch of dirty wrong-uns. And the tentacles extend back years. It's absolute filth. So, let's move on, because, you know, talking about the filthy bastards actually makes people feel dirty. When you think of their greasy hair, their fucking wonky eyes, their dirty teeth, their fucking unclean glasses, their smelly breath, and their unclean thoughts. It actually turns my stomach, a lot of them. So, I thought we'd have a look at a David Starkey video to begin with. I did bring it up on Village yesterday, but they all sort of had a breakdown over it. Because people don't like the truth when you give them the truth, do they? So, I'm going to bring it up and we'll have a little look and review that first.
Butler on, which is that you shouldn't segregate the histories. The statement she gave saying Black history is British history in an argument against segregation, but doesn't really matter. So I thought we'd have a bit of a frank discussion about Black history.
Oh, okay.
So you've got history, and then of course you have Black history.
Okay.
Amazingly, this is the one thing I actually agree with Dawn Butler on, which is that you shouldn't segregate the histories. The statement she gave saying Black history is British history in an argument against this kind of segregation, but doesn't really matter. Because, of course, this is not about history. This is about propaganda, as we shall see with David Starkey in a minute. And to give an example of why I'm saying such things, we have the first link here being blackhistorymonth.org.uk, a website we have featured previously because they work with GCHQ and MI5, which is interesting. Also very, very woke. And yes, you can see here they have a section in which they advertise Mary C. Cole as a figure of Black history and why you should look up to this sort of thing and how Black people have been around in British history as long as you can think of. So they have an example here and they describe her as she got herself out to the war by her own efforts, the Crimean War there, and at her own expense, risked her life to bring a comfort to the wounded and dying soldiers, and became the first Black woman to make her mark on British public life. But whilst Florence Nightingale has got down in history and become a legend, Mary Seacole is relegated to obscurity until recently. There's an example of, look,
I've never heard of her.
Black people in history done these things. She went out as a nurse at her own expense to help wounded soldiers in the Crimean War. Very noble, very noble.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know, like a nun, basically.
Yep.
No other motives whatsoever. Nah, not true. So this is what I mean by propaganda. That's just not the facts. And the person I'm going to defer on this is to David Starkey. So David Starkey went on GB News and gave an interview about this. And this chap, Colin, who's very good, gave a monologue about Black history, and then Starkey gave his responses. And one of the things Starkey noted was that Mary Seacole was a profit maker. She went out there to make a profit, not to help wounded soldiers, because wounded soldiers or something. Anyway, so let's play this first clip so we can see what he said.
Black History Month, a good idea.
A necessary idea. We have now a substantial Black population. It's very important to get the perspective right. It's about 5%. They are in search of roots. They want a sense of belonging here. To do that, you need a history. But there is a great problem. You see, when history becomes propaganda, which effectively it has become, then I'm afraid you get rather bad history. And I hate to tell you, Colin, there was a great deal of bad history in your admirable summary. You called Mary Seacole a nurse. She wasn't. You called Mary Seacole heroic. She wasn't. She was a really nice, generous soul. And you know what she went to the Crimea to do?
Not to nurse.
Not to nurse, not to set up a hospital, not to tend the wounded. She went to, and I'm reading from her own autobiography, which survives, she went to set up an hotel. And it was a hotel, obviously not for ordinary soldiers. Ordinary soldiers didn't go to hotels. It was for officers, and she was there to make a profit, and she sold luxury items. And because she went out rather late in the war, and she bought a great many luxury items, which she hadn't sold by the time that the war ended, she went bankrupt.
There you have it. There's the history versus what is presented. blackhistorymonth.org.uk, as an example, a website which is not obscure, has been multiple times supported by this government and others, and yet they just produce propaganda, as described.
See, they should rework that into pro-capitalist propaganda.
You could. You could
this
try
is what Enterprise looks like. Okay, this particular case wasn't very successful, but
Yeah, but it's also just it's just not the true telling of history, and
Yeah.
instead it is not history; it is fiction. You were writing fiction at that point, as David will go on to say. And
it's a weird kind of fan fiction as well, isn't it? It's not just fiction. It really strikes me as like a modern day equivalent of fan fiction, where it's just like, well, we'd like it that this person would have been what we wanted them to be for the story that we're trying to tell. So yeah, but they're not.
So what are you going to do? We'll just rewrite it.
Yeah.
And when someone calls you out like David Starkey, I guess just ignore him because, well, I mean, he's only a historian anyway. So if we go on to the next clip here, he talks about the Black Tudors.
There's a remarkable book by a woman called Miranda Kaufman, which is called The Black Tudors. Now, when you look at it, there's one thing that strikes you. About a third of the book is written in italic type. Why? Because it's fiction. We know so little about these people. The most famous black in Tudor England is, of course, called White. He's called John Blanc as a joke. He is Henry VIII's black trumpeter. He is the only black in Tudor England whose portrait we've got. We know nothing else about him apart from his daily wages. But an entire industry, you can see what I'm meaning. When you're in quest for roots, you invent. We used to invent, stories about King Arthur. This is a new equivalent of the Arthurian legends.
Is it right to call it propaganda?
Yes.
Define propaganda for me.
Well, it comes, of course, you as a Catholic should know, pro propaganda fide, it is for the distribution of the faith. And it's an attempt at creating a sense of belonging and rightness. We want our immigrants. I passionately want our immigrant communities to feel that they're part of us. But at the moment, I think you're doing it in dangerous ways. You're doing it by trying to invent roots which aren't there.
So there you have it.
Well, the reason this is important as well, he probably does explain it, but just to be clear, because if you invent a bunch of roots that aren't there, then anyone cynical at some point in the future, possibly some kind of critical theorist, can come along and dismantle the roots that you have built, and they will be proven to be correct.
Because they're non-existent. And he's given two examples now. So you have Mary Seacole, as I gave, obviously, that website had. I've actually read Black Tudors. I've mentioned it on the podcast before. I went down to my local library in the town I was born, and they had it there, and I had some time to spare, so I read the thing. And I've mentioned before as well, there's like 7 guys throughout all of medieval England.
What a shock.
And it's not a shock at all.
Yeah.
And the book tries to make this argument. I mean, I didn't even pick up on the point because it's not very explicit, but he's made it, which is that most of it is actually the information just fiction because they don't know. The bits.
So they just assume that this is the case.
Yes. So the figures are real. So the guy he mentions who blew the trumpet for the king, he's a real guy. There's pictures of him, like diagrams of it, but that's about it. That's all they got. But the numbers, when you translate it into modern Britain, it is as common as today in modern Britain meeting a genuine Zoroastrian.
Right, okay. As I'm aware, there are only something like 150,000 Zoroastrians in existence.
You're not going to. You've probably never met one. I've never met one. Most people at home have probably never met one. I never will because there's just so few. So this propaganda, as he points out, the idea that black people have been part of British history going back to the medieval times, that's the argument being put forward. It's not the case. And you'll see people in the BBC even try and make this argument, all the way back to the Romans because there was a Numidian who went up to Hadrian's Wall or something.
Yeah.
Not an argument.
Yeah.
That's like saying white people have always been part of Chinese history because of Marco Polo. It just is not the case. I don't know why you want to make it the case. Yes, we do, because you have an agenda you wish to push.
Yeah.
I also love that he makes the point, well, it has to be from medieval times, doesn't it? The argument always has to be, oh, don't worry, it's gone back centuries upon centuries.